Boom. Hello and welcome to another episode of Christian Reeve. I was going to say experience.
Okay. Where does that come from, I wonder?
Probably my love of Jimi Hendrix. No, welcome back to the Christian Reeve podcast. Another episode. No, not just any episode, actually. This is the 25th episode of
25.
the podcast. And do you know, it's funny because I'll get on to why Stealzy is here for the second time. Obviously, as you guys know, I always like to have guests on the podcast again. If anything, it works better because of the first time we have our podcast, it's very almost like formulaic because it's an interview and you want to try and get across who the person is first and foremost. But I mean, to be in fairness, though, our first podcast did kind of go into the weeds and we got through quite a few topics.
Yes,
so
a little bit more than 2 hours.
But yeah, it's something that I really, really like to do. And I wanted to kind of try and do something special for the 25th episode or have like a special guest or something. I don't know. And
I mean, you got one.
This is what I'm thinking, actually. It's kind of, it is a good thing that it's you for various reasons. I mean, first of all, I had a guest today that I was supposed to have on the podcast. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, they're not able to do it. They haven't spoken to me yet. We're not going to be unprofessional and be like, oh, screw this person or something because...
Yeah, no, obviously not.
Right. And people always have reasons for why things happen. It's just how it is. It's life. And but it's funny because I contacted you and I said, hey, do you want to be on it? This is going to be a special episode. You said yes. And you're doing me a solid as a friend. So there's that. Thank you. But also, like, when I sat down and I thought about that for a second while I was sorting everything out, I was like, and yeah, this is the same guy who, you know, made this big donation to me, which I'm never going to stop talking about. I'm going to keep singing your praises till the end of time. Because the thing is, like, to me, it's more about the money and the investment in what I do. It's like someone saying, hey, I believe in what you're doing. Keep doing it. Here's my kind of support for that.
Exactly.
And that to me means the world because I don't hear that often. With this podcast, you know, I get a few comments here and there, but ultimately I'm just kind of relying on some sort of belief in myself. But, you know, it's getting better and better. We even had our first hate comment the other day. So,
oh, I saw that. Yeah, that was good.
You know, I found it funny as well because I sat there and I tried to think, okay, because this is my rule. If someone is rude, if someone is just an asshole, then I won't reply, right? But if they make genuine constructive criticism, I'll take it on board and I'll probably thank them and be like, hey, yeah, nice one. But this person, you know, was dropping the F-bomb and just being, you know, a jerk. But I still took into consideration what they said because they basically said, and I'm putting this in the nice, friendly way, yeah, you know, how about letting this person talk, you know, this will be the last time I listen. And I thought about that and I was like, well, that's a shame. I mean, on one hand, I don't care that I'm losing that person if that's how they are. But also, I don't want to lose people because of an inability to allow people to talk because that would make me a bad interviewer, a bad host.
Yeah, funnily enough, my fans told me the same after our podcast. Really? One of my fans.
Oh,
doing this.
I think I lost you there for a second.
And I was just like, oh, I don't know.
I lost you there. Sorry. Could you say that again?
Yeah, because one of my fans said the exact same to me after our podcast. He said, "Why are you never letting Christian talk? You're always interrupting him. Why?" And I was just like, I don't know. I didn't have a feeling that I always interrupted him, but
I find that
it's kind of always. It's also kind of the way I talk. I don't know. I like conversations where you can just fall into each other's words when you have something constructive to say to their sentence that they're saying right there. And then I don't have a problem with people interrupting me, for example, most of the time.
Yeah, for me, I only tend to interrupt if there's a particular thing that I'm trying to push with them to get out of them. Like not in a kind of like I don't care what they have to say, but let's say that we're talking about a big topic, like I don't know, what was something big? Okay, let's say we're talking about coronavirus, just for argument's sake.
Yeah.
And then you start talking about something related to that. But I see an opportunity to ask you about something that's like, I think is more important. I might, what I might sort of do is interrupt you very briefly, apologize and say, hey, what about this? And then 9 times out of 10, I'll probably circle back to the thing that you were saying anyway. Or a lot of the time, if the guest really badly wants to say that, then they'll bring it up again. And I just won't say anything the second time. I'll let them speak. So this is kind of what I find interesting, and especially with that podcast with, it was Greta Marie was her name. She spoke a lot. I spoke a lot. I just find it interesting. I was really trying to sit there and be like, does this person have a point? Do I speak too much? Do I not let my guests speak? I'm thinking like really like trying to think like,
Of course, it gets to you, obviously.
Well, no. I mean, it doesn't like I don't take it personally. I couldn't care less. I've had much worse said to me. But like purely from being professional, because you know, like I said, that first episode, I want it to be a really good, you know, how can I put this? Introduction to the person that I'm trying to get over. I want it to be purely about them.
Yes.
You know, in the second and follow-up episodes, it doesn't matter so much because you already know who the person is. You know, if someone would be like, oh, I don't want to hear you talk, Christian. It's like, well, you know, if you really want to hear all about the person and not hear me speak very much, then go watch the first episode, right? Whereas, but then in follow-up episodes, it's like you said, it's a conversation. It's back and forth, you know.
And in the end, it's your podcast as well. So, I mean, when someone says, oh, Christian, I don't want to hear you, then you can just say, yeah, good. Okay, go to another podcast. I don't care. If you don't like me, then this is not the podcast for you, I guess. It's as if someone came into my stream and said, dude, you look ugly. I don't want to look at you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be like, yeah, why are you here then? What is your point?
It's like, a very good point though, isn't it, actually? Like, yeah, I get comments like that sometimes too. And I'm just like, well, yeah, just don't watch then. I don't know what to say to you.
Yes, there's so much on the internet, so much content. Just go somewhere else and search for better content. Because I believe in that. I believe in every person should always go to the best content that suits them. And not just any content that maybe the algorithms throws at them or they just find or anything. You should always just look for content that you love and then stay there, obviously.
It's interesting you say that as well, because I was speaking to my friend today, shout out to Birdie, about this. And I think she kind of assumed that I took it to heart. And I'm like, no, I'm just genuinely like, I thought this was funny. Like, I thought you might find it interesting kind of thing. Because I get a lot of shit from various places when I try to do something a bit left field. So like, as an example, my previous guest before this one was a professional wrestler, right? And recently I stopped plugging myself on Reddit because one, pretty much everyone that would come and check me out would do the same annoying thing of like subscribing to me and then being like, hey, yeah, can you sub back? So basically sub for sub. And then I wouldn't do anything because I'm there to purely promote myself in the subreddits. You know, just to, you know, and it's kind of a silly idea purely from the logic of like, you know, everyone is kind of going there for the same reason. No one is really there to watch each other's content. Therefore, it's, you know, pointless.
Yeah, exactly. What can you do with the subs if they don't watch you? It's exactly why I think buying subs or stuff like that is the worst idea you can have.
I can't believe
because
people do that.
It's in the end you have a high number. Yeah, cool. Okay, great. You can jerk your ego with that. I don't know. But in the end it doesn't do anything for you because those are, I don't know, bots or whatever. It's not genuine and they won't watch your content because they're probably they probably only wanted your sub. So
it's true as well, especially if you do really well on YouTube in the future or Twitch or wherever. You know, it won't be genuine. It's like the equivalent of like buying grades in a test paper. It's like, sure, you got what you needed, but you didn't do it, you know,
yes,
with any, I don't want to say honor because that's not quite the right word, but like, you know what I mean.
The honor.
But yeah, anyway,
Yes.
with these subreddits, I went into like wrestling only subreddits, and I
Hmm.
posted about this guy. And then I was reminded why, for instance, I don't do content on wrestling, because it's a really toxic
Community.
fan base. Yeah. And it's stupid because it's essentially people just arguing over opinions, like,
Mm.
which I guess you can say is the same for most fan bases, to be honest, these days. But I don't know what it is, because I've been a fan since I was a kid, and I've only noticed this kind of toxicity in the last like 10 years or so.
Hmm.
But it does seem to be prevalent everywhere. It's like if you share any kind of an opinion, people just shit all over you. And it's like, it's just an
Yes,
opinion.
exactly. And many people these don't understand that some opinions can just live next to each other. There are opinions that maybe contradict each other, but you can live totally fine if half of the population has the one opinion and the other half has the other opinion. And in the end, I don't know why people don't understand democracy. But it's if more than half of the population says something, then yeah, we should probably go with that, because that's the best that we have today. I watched a wonderful video today about the end of Metal Gear Solid 2, which is an old game, 2002, I think, 2001. And there, the AI that gave Raiden the commands and everything told him that they want to censor everything, and they want to censor everything because human evolution is held back by fake news, and that's why there should be an AI that has no feelings, that monitors everything that gets into the internet and into the population from like a perspective that's good or bad. And obviously that's like very weird. Deus ex mach no wait, how's the
Do
correct?
Ex Machina. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. There's like another game, and that game as well has the same thing, where also an AI is there, and it wants to censor bad things that don't bring the humanity forward. But I don't know, in the end, everybody should have the opportunity to say whatever they want.
I got to say, I do kind of agree with you, because I hear a lot of people, the pushback I get when I say that is that people are like, oh, well, you shouldn't be allowed to say whatever the hell you want. And it's like, well, okay, there is a big difference between like saying what you want to say versus doing what you want to do. Do you know what I mean? So like just saying something, it's not nice, but it's not going to like actually hurt you, like,
Yes, physically,
yeah, right, or stop you. I mean, people can make the argument, oh yeah, well, it's very damaging. Words are very damaging. True, but actions are a hell of a lot more damaging. Like,
Yes.
and I feel like it's a slippery slope with this whole censorship thing, because
It is.
it's like when you start saying people can and cannot say certain things, that line between what's acceptable and what's not acceptable can be taken to the extreme. And the government has a very messed up way of handling this stuff. And I feel like the only damage, the problems, you can only see the problems when you're in the thick of it. So like people right now are thinking this is good for society, right? And I get what they're trying to achieve, but what they don't realize is that what they're sort of saying now is allowing the government to kind of, put forward something far more extreme that they wouldn't want. Yeah.
Exactly. Because these people always are just on the same side, as long as it's not them who are getting damaged. Of course, the whole left side of the political spectrum right now says, oh yeah, we should definitely ban everything that is kind of racist or kind of right-wing or whatever. But then if in 50 years the whole landscape shifts, and then all of a sudden the left is the ours, then all of a sudden they're like, oh no, censorship, no way, we shouldn't do that. Right? It's always just the people that obviously get a benefit from it are always on the side of the censorship. But then again, if you allow censorship once, you should allow censorship at any point. And but if you get hit by it, then obviously you cannot like say that it's bad. That doesn't work. You don't get your cake and have you don't get your cake and have to eat it too, or however that goes.
I can't remember exactly how you say the saying, but yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I always think of like the more literal sense of like, you know, like sometimes you go to certain places, like town, like I remember that when this place that I was growing up, there would always be like a particular spot where you'd have like a crazy preacher who you'd walk past and they'd always be shouting something like, okay, like let's say I'm with my mum and I'm like 5 years old and the guy's like, "You're going to hell, you heathen,
Yeah.
you both, your whore mother and you child, devil child." And it's like, what? Right?
What do you want from me?
Right. And it's ridiculous. And everyone's like, oh, he shouldn't be allowed to be there. But the thing is, him just shouting that, it's not nice, but again, like we were saying before, it doesn't have some lasting detrimental effect. If anything, most people just laugh at him or like
Yes.
film him and stuff.
Yes.
And that's kind of how I feel about the internet too. It's like people say horrible shit all the time. And plus the internet is like this thing where a lot of the stuff people say, they would never have the balls to say in real life, ever.
Of course, yes.
And I just feel like it's
100%. It's anonymity.
Right, yeah. And I don't know. I kind of feel like, I don't know. I'm kind of losing my point. I think it's just all BS. I don't know. I try not to get too consumed in it. I try to just, because there is a big difference as well between what you see online and then just everyday life. Like, for example, how often do you really meet like a racist, for example, in real life?
No, not very often.
Do you know what I mean?
Maybe you don't notice how often you meet them because racists can't obviously say anything these days.
Right. But
right?
Like,
you don't go to a person and say, "Oh, I hate foreigners, by the way. Hello." You can't do that. But if you go to someone and say, "Oh, I hate racists," or like I don't know, I love communism, then obviously it's like, "Oh yeah, well, I guess that's okay." Yeah. So, like you take out your moral check marks and you're like, "Oh, communism, okay," and yeah. On the right, yeah, that works. I like you.
The interesting thing I've noticed actually on this point about people like racists or people that, you know, as you say, are kind of like trying to hide their actual beliefs. I've noticed so many occasions where you get someone who's coming into like, let's say it's like an all lad situation, all blokes, maybe on a building site or something like that. And you got someone who comes in and they're like testing the waters. They're like, okay.
Yes.
So they'll throw something out there and it will always be negative. It would be like, oh yeah, these bloody, you know, insert your comment here kind of thing. And then they're kind of just trying to see what everyone's reactions are. And if everyone is just like, oh yeah, then they're like, oh, great. Yeah. This is my, yeah, this is my chance to just go nuts. But then if everyone's just like, oh, no, that's terrible, then that person will just shut up and just be quiet.
Exactly, yes.
I've seen this so many times. It's hilarious.
It's so funny as well. I just talked to someone on the phone today because I'm on the search for a new apartment right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I want to move again. And I think I found one. But
let me guess, you need more space, right?
I need more space, yes.
Yeah, for streaming.
A little bit, but the best thing about the apartment that I found right now is it's cheaper than what I have right now and it's bigger. So no brainer.
Is it like farther out of the city or something? Like what?
No, it's literally like two streets away.
Oh damn! Oh, well done.
It works very well, exactly. But I talked to some guys who rent out apartments today, like a woman, and I was like, oh yeah, do you have glass fiber there? And she's like, I don't know, but if the Turkish people start working it, it's probably gonna be ready in like 3 days. And I was like, wait, what did you just say? but it's like, I live in Hamburg, right? So I don't know. It's like right on the east of us is like where East Germany starts. And like the notion is that East Germans are more racist than West Germans. And that was where I was phoning. And I was just like, what is this? She's just demeaning Turkish people right now. What the fuck? Because I don't normally have something like that, right? I don't just talk to people and they talk about other races in demeaning ways, especially not in Germany. Because I mean, yeah, you can obviously do that. But damn, that was a shocker for me. After I was like just talking to her, and after I stopped the talk, I was like, what did you just say? What did Jesus say? And I was like 10 minutes off. Huh.
I had this with a landlord one time where we were just chatting, and then they just said like about certain types of people they wouldn't have as tenants, and they mentioned like certain races, and I was just standing there like uncomfortable, like not knowing what to say, because I'm not going to agree with this person. But at the same time, I'm just like, and I was like, huh? So you've had some trouble, huh? And she's like, yeah. And I was just like,
that's what it boils down most of the time, right?
Well, it's like a sweeping generalization. It's like, oh, I don't like everyone from this particular place because this one time someone screwed me, and now I just hate them all.
Yes. The only thing that makes it kind of why I kind of understand that guy is because he has to have a business, right? And if you had a very bad experience with one person at once, you try to categorize them into a category so you don't have that bad experience again. So I understand it on a business point, but necessarily as a human, it's like kind of a scummy thing. I had the same thing with a restaurant owner for that I worked. She was just like, oh yeah, no, I don't serve Arabs. If Arabs come in here, I get them out of here. I don't serve Arabs. Yeah, and I was like, I was 14 or 15 at the time, and I was like, okay, let me just get this straight right now. No Arabs. Okay, I guess.
What's the worst job you've ever had?
The worst job, I had a lot of jobs, but the worst job was probably at that restaurant. I was just cleaning dishes. So if I will ever be a millionaire, it will be dishwasher to millionaire. Isn't that great? That's great. But no, that was probably the worst job. I had a few jobs. I was a store clerk, but that wasn't too bad. I was store clerk twice. I had delivery jobs twice, once for a apothecary and once for a pizza place, and now I'm a technician, and obviously that's kind of chill. So yeah, I probably have that restaurant, especially because the woman for that I've worked was, I don't know, psychotic or something. She was the worst. She was just, sometimes she exploded just out of nowhere. It was so weird. She fired me because I put these things that you put under beers, right? These thing. I put that under wine, and then she was like, "You don't do that.
Oh wow,
you don't do that. You're fired." And I was like,
"Oh damn, really?
Okay, dude. Okay.
On the spot,
on the spot, just fired. That was it."
Wow,
it's so weird if I think back about it, but yeah, before she had that, I did research on her, and before she had that restaurant, she was the owner of a how do you call it? Brothel. Yes, that's it.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, that was something. But that was the first job I ever had as well. Well, one day, or like before that I did one day of delivering newspapers. But it was raining like cats and dogs on that day, and I never did that again.
Okay. I gotta push you for more on this. So what made it the worst job ever? It's like because the thing is, I've worked in. I've never had like one single bad job, but I've had various things about different jobs that sucked.
Yeah.
And I've also washed dishes as well. I've been there. It's monotonous, mind-numbing, soul-destroying work. But yeah, like tell us some stories. Tell us why it's so bad. I mean, there's always certain things about certain customer service style jobs that make them bad.
I mean, it's basically the monotony that you already talked about, because you know how I am, right? I need like some space, man. I need to be creative and stuff, and then just washing dishes with this machine, that big thing where you just put down and then it washes. But and basically the other half was her. It was her. She was just a witch, dude. It was so crazy. But I did it I guess for the money. I got like a 50 bill every evening, and then I went off and bought some weed.
I love that whenever I say that to people about like, oh, why did you do that job? And then I'm like, yeah, for the money. And then I just think about the money was peanuts. It was less. It was like, what for the money? Why the fuck did I do that? But it's true. It's like you got not many options before you're qualified.
Yes.
And sometimes even when you're qualified, I mean, I've said this a million bazillion times, but like, I got a degree in 3 years experience in my field, and the most I can find right now is freelance work on and off.
Yeah.
I know I could like hop quite happily into a customer service job right now, but I just don't have it in me to go back to that. I did it for so long, and it was just,
it's all, you always got to ask you the question of how much your time is worth for you.
Yes, 100%.
Right? Would I pay someone else the exact same amount of money for that work? And if you would, then yeah, it's a good job, I guess. Or wait, yes. You always, it's like how much is your time worth to you, and how much is the work worth to you? And you always gotta check that.
This is one thing that always amazed me when I worked in customer service, was that like you would meet people who would train in that environment and would want to do those jobs, right? Now, Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to shit on it. I can see certain appeals of certain things, like putting on major events. Like if you're like a hotel manager or a chain manager or something like, and you've worked your way up, I can see the appeal of that, right? I get that.
Yeah.
But what couldn't get is the people that are working, say, 3 to 5 years solidly as like a waiter, and they're struggling to become, like a manager or something, and they love it. And and the thing is, I'm doing the exact same job as them. And okay, yeah, I don't love the job, right? So fair enough, we're going to see it differently. But they're doing a lot of stuff that sucks. Like for instance, having people talk to them like they're nothing, because if you work in customer service, people do talk to you like utter shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, so they put up with the same things that I do, and the long hours that, turn into ridiculous, because there's so much that, isn't in contracts, that isn't spoken about. It's like, yeah, it says that you're supposed to work, say, 10 hours a day, but in actuality, you're going to be working like 15 to 17 hours a day, out of this kind of peer pressure thing of like, yeah, you can work a job purely by the contract and what it says in the contract, but you'll get fired pretty quickly if you do that. And exactly. It won't be like they'll do it legally, but they'll do it in a way where they can get rid of you and just make up some nonsense about why you're fired. But basically it's because you're not willing to just work yourself to death. So you have to love that job. And I just can't rack my brains around why they love that. I mean, the only thing I can think is that they're just so hell-bent on getting to that top level that they can put up with the day-to-day stuff. But I met genuine people that were like 20 years older than me who absolutely loved serving people. Yeah. And I just didn't get it. Like I get the satisfaction of like serving a bunch of people and making them happy. Like that happened to me loads of times, and it was great. I loved that. But that to me was not enough to like warrant all of the shit that I had to put up with.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you learn to get on with it, right? You just learn to phase that out. If someone, it's like this Zen kind of state. I talked about that with my friends. If someone gives us shit, we're just like, oh my God, that guy is so sad. What is going on with him? Because if someone gives you shit, it's obviously not because they hate you, but because there's something wrong in their lives.
Dude, you say that, right? But I can think of so many times. And again, I have nothing against customer service. I'm not looking down my nose at it or something. I worked in it for many years. So believe me, I can talk about this freely. To be honest, right, I dealt with a little bit of like people, what would be the word when you're like looking down your nose at people, like people beneath you? I don't know, that kind of attitude.
Yeah. Like snobby.
Okay, so I dealt with that snobbish kind of attitude from a young age in my first proper job from like the age of
Mm-hmm.
18. I worked in a supermarket for 3 years, dealt
Oh,
with it and stuff,
nice.
right?
Same.
But then through the years, I had various different jobs, different places. And when I was at university, I worked for about close to 2 years in this hotel
Mm-hmm.
as a waiter and bartender and everything else in between. And for me, that environment was the worst environment I ever worked in as far as customers are
Yeah.
concerned. Because
Not
we,
only that, right? Because what I always hear from hotel employees is that it's like the worst job ever. You have to work so much and you get so much shit, and you're never good, right? Because you're always not doing everything 100% right or something. I mean, that is probably one of the hardest jobs I can imagine. If you're not in Alaska crab fishing.
yeah, true. Yeah, there's always something worse. But to
Always.
be honest with you, I could put up with like managers never being happy enough, and because there was a lot of camaraderie between people, and
Yeah.
like there was a lot of things that would just help you get through, and there was things to be enjoyed. I mean, for instance, I loved being a bartender. That was great. But and like putting on major events, making everyone happy. I mean, fucking hell, I did like weddings and
Yeah.
parties, New Year's, Christmas, you name it, I did it.
I think being a bartender is a really good job.
It's actually fun, yeah, and
Yeah.
weirdly people respect you because whereas
Exactly.
people treat waiters like shit, but if you're a bartender, somehow you're like up in the totem pole and you have some sort of respect from them for some. I guess it's because of the knowledge of alcohol. Somehow that gives you some prestige.
Maybe. I think you're a psychologist as well.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, a lot of the time you don't have the fucking time to. I mean, well, no, I guess if you're purely a bartender
Yes.
and it's a bar, like a bar
Yes.
bar, because the thing is, like, I worked in bars that were like, part of a restaurant, part of a
Mm-hmm.
lounge area. Like, you have to do so much other stuff aside from just serving the bar. It's very rare that you're actually just serving drinks and that's it. Like
Yes.
there'd be so many days I can remember where there's like 200 people there, and I've got to like serve coffee. Basically, I'd have to like make the coffee myself, then serve the coffee, make the drinks myself, then serve the drinks. Sometimes even make the food myself and then serve the
Oh
food. Like it
God.
was
Yeah.
like
That's a lot.
it's ridiculous. But it happened, and I got on with it, and I made the most of it. But like. I don't know. For me, I could do all of that. I could get through all of that. It was fine. But like whenever, maybe it was just a self-esteem issue, but when I was at university, at least initially, because the first part of the time working there, I was, you know, I was in the third year of university or middle of second year into third year,
Mm-hmm.
and just doing this work, right? So I was
Yeah.
just getting on with it, and it's fine. And like whenever I'd have a bad day, I'd be like, oh, it's fine, and I've got uni, fuck this job, kind of thing, right? But then when I graduated, I was already, by that point I was already basically full-time. Like I never signed a full-time contract, but
Mm-hmm.
they treated me like a full-time member of staff. I was
Yeah.
there longer than, like, more than the full-time staff were. I was basically full-time, and I was like, shit, man, like whenever the customers would like be shitty with me or look down their noses at me or make comments, a lot of the time I could let it go. But when I was in that particular position, I started thinking to myself, like, damn, man, maybe they're right. Like, because they don't think you're intelligent. People will automatically assume
Yes.
if you work in customer service, you're not intelligent, because
Yes.
and the thing is, I challenge this to an extent, because yes, it is a low skilled job, but it's not easy. I've met people
Mm.
who are like super intelligent, like, scientists who cannot do that job. Like they just
Oh
fucking
no, definitely
crack.
not. You have to have emotional intelligence.
Right. But like there's other things you need to be able to do as well. It's not just being able to like control your nerves or whatever, but like,
Mm-hmm.
being able to multitask, being able to plan ahead, um, there's a lot of things you have to learn. I don't know why I was good at it. I think I just worked really hard, and somehow I was good at working in teams. I've always been good at working in teams.
Okay, that's good. That's very good.
But like, yeah, no, it basically my point with this, because I'm going into the weeds a bit. It would get to a point where it was just like the words would get to me from customers, or the attitudes, or the way they would look at me, or like, because they think that they think that you can't hear, and it's like, no, we can hear everything you're saying. And it just got to me. And I remember when I quit that job, I was so relieved to quit. Like I felt like a massive weight had been lifted over. And don't get me wrong, the hotel I worked at is a good hotel. You know, nothing against the people I worked with or anything like that. It's just, you know, anyone that's worked there, that's worked with me, knows what it's like. Either that is still working there or has worked there, you know, they know how tough it is. And thankless the job can be, and everything in between. And I'm sure everyone can, like, who's ever worked in customer service can relate to this, that, you know,
100%.
Yeah, people
100%.
they will talk to you like you're nothing. And I don't know, it just kind of got to me. And then when I started working in marketing, eventually, when I moved abroad, I started working in that field. It didn't feel like work. Like, if anything, I laugh when I have to do like marketing work, because I'm like, man, there was a day when I was working like 16-hour days back to back and like never having any time for myself. And now all I do is sit by a computer for 8 hours a day and just write some stuff, or like look at some statistics and report on it, and that's it. And I get paid triple or double what someone in customer service would get paid. And I'm like, this is just nuts.
Yeah.
What?
It's weird. Like, how I never understood how people decide on how much a certain job gets or not, or how that crystallized. It's very weird, because there's such hard jobs that get paid nothing. And then there's just jobs where you're basically having one idea a month or something like that, and you get paid so much, right?
I gotta
Some
say,
marketers, they do one campaign every month for like Adidas or something, and then you get 100K, and then you're gone. Then you don't do anything anymore for a year or something.
I can't believe businesses that aren't like, and I know it's business. So before people destroy me in the comments, or destroy this when they hear this, wherever you're listening to the podcast, I know that it's because of business. But still, if you're a massive empire, chain, whatever, like your company, you know, is doing very well, like very high profit margins, but you're paying your staff minimum wage, right? I just feel like it's very embarrassing. It's like, let's take a big company like, I don't know, what's a good example?
Not Google. Google's not a good example for that.
No, I'm trying to think of like a
Amazon.
customer. Okay, yeah, I was actually thinking of that, but yeah, you've brought up. So yeah, Jeff Bezos is a billionaire.
He's the richest man alive.
He's the richest man alive, and
Or
his
like the
staff, his staff get treated like dogs. Like, it's
absolute shit.
abysmal.
If you're not a robot, you're definitely lesser.
And that's the problem. It's like they get paid nothing. They get fired like that every second. You know, if you can't hack it, gone. And I saw that attitude in places that I've worked. You know, I remember when I worked in supermarkets, even though hotel had a bit of that mentality. It was like, oh, if you can't hack it, we'll just find someone to replace you. And it's kind of true that does keep happening. It's like, you know, you work there for a while, you learn how it really is, and then there's a crossroads. Either you're going to put up with it and just get on with it, or you're going to quit and someone else will take your position.
Hard life.
It just angers me. And especially that they don't get paid enough. I mean, it's like, one of the reasons that you have to work so many hours is just to make ends meet. And it's like, you just end up not having a life. Like damn, like when I was at uni in the third year, there was a point where I was literally working like 50 or 60 hours a week plus going to university. So I would be like, I'd only have a couple of lessons a week, couple of seminars. I ended up having to not go to my lectures because I needed to work, and also because the lectures just weren't useful, but the seminars were. So there's a little tip for people. Because a lot of the time in lectures, they just cover what's in the textbook. So it's like, what's the point of this?
And I can't do it either. Like, I sleep. I
we seem to
45 minutes or 90 minutes. I can't do that.
Sorry, we just keep having internet problems here and there.
Yeah.
I mean, like for me, it got very tricky because I basically never have any time where I was just resting. It would be like I would wake up in the morning, 6 or 7, perhaps earlier, go work from like 7 in the morning till 9 at night, 10 at night, and then I would go straight to the library after that and just study for 4 or 5 hours. And I was fucked. I don't know how I got through that and didn't die. Like, just mad.
It's not going to be fine for me next week either. Whenever you move, you have like no internet for 3 weeks, something like that. It's bad.
Yeah, this is incredibly frustrating, actually.
It's insane. I get so angry at it. Whenever I was streaming on my, I don't know, a little bit worse internet connection that I have right now, and my stream would constantly just cut out, I would get so angry. It would ruin my day.
See, the frustrating part about this is that normally I don't have to do pretty much any editing. But now, because this is fucking up, I'm going to have to do loads of editing. And it's really annoying.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what people don't realize is when you do a podcast, I mean, when you're actually just doing the editing of the whole podcast, it's usually pretty straightforward. You just, you know, because I've managed to root out the sound problems now. So there isn't any sound issues. It's all pretty, you know, straightforward as far as that's concerned. But if there are issues like what we're having now with internet cutting in and out, I'll have to clip this up, edit it up, put it together.
Yeah.
And people will be like, oh, well, that's just part of it, right? But the thing is, for instance, I'm doing clips right now where I'm going back.
Yeah, I saw that.
Right. Listening to the entire episode, cutting it up. And it's like, you have no idea how long this takes. Because firstly,
I do. I just started doing YouTube videos 4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago again. 1 video a week. I can barely do that. I mean, it's crazy. I don't understand how people can upload a video a day like Spaz is doing. It's insane. I couldn't do that. I cut my videos for a whole week. Every day.
This is the thing. Like I've done what Spaz is doing, but like I think it's different if you're clipping it in advance. Like for instance, right now you'll see that I'm uploading like 3 or 4 times a day, right? And the only reason that that's happening is because I've spent ages on a particular day editing and clipping stuff and then scheduling it ahead. So that's how I do that, people.
Yeah.
But there are people like Spaz who record on the day, every day. And I've done that too. That's a lot more thankless, especially if you do editing and stuff and you know, like I don't know, let's say it's like a reaction video or something like that. It takes so much time and effort goes into it. And it's the same with this podcast. Like the whole time I'm sitting there thinking like, I need staff. I need fucking a team of people, pardon my language, but it's, really. And the thing is, there's so many different things you have to think about. Like when I listen to the episodes, I'm thinking like, well, what would people be interested in? What's an interesting clip? You know, a lot of the time I'm going for like stories. I'm like, okay, what's an interesting story that the person says or something interesting that they say? Because just hearing someone go like, oh, this is what I do on YouTube, this is what I do, blah blah blah, like that's not interesting. But if they tell something that's like kind of out there, I don't know, like for instance today I was going back and clipping this guy called Martin Kuningas. He's an Estonian musician, right? And we had an interview together.
Mhm.
And so like my whole thought process was like, okay, I should clip anything that he says directly about the band. Or so like, for instance, it would be like his thoughts on the band's sound, or, you know, his thoughts on the upcoming album, or yeah, just shit like that. And I'm thinking, but like sometimes it'll be like, oh, this interesting little story or anecdote. And other times, like I got to the end and, you know, I've been listening to this podcast for like 50 minutes in, and I'm like, should I do clips for the final 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Because there were extra clips I could have done, but I'm like, I've already clipped a lot of the episode already. Yeah. And it's like, you've got to, I guess, save some stuff to keep the allure of wanting to, like, you know, listen to the podcast. Or
yes, I think you should clip up at max one or two things out of every podcast. Maybe.
But then
the most important parts, or the most
that is kind of what I'm saying. Is like, it's difficult to know because it's just me, it's just my opinion. I could be wrong,
but it's also your podcast and it's your channel, right? You decide what you give people to see.
Well, I'm literally just doing the clips to draw interest. You know, like the idea being,
yes,
you know, everyone else does clips. And I don't normally just do things because other people are doing them, but I've trialed it with things like Twitch, and there's like an audience for that, and it's logical to me. It was like, okay, if people, you know, listen to the clips are short. They're anything from like a minute to 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or maybe longer. But it's much more digestible than, oh shit, there's a 3-hour podcast. Oh, I don't want to sit there for 3 hours. Right?
I mean, I came to Joe Rogan through the clips that he's doing.
Right,
on his separate channel, and again,
sense.
I wanted to talk to you about that. I really think you should make a singular channel for your podcast, and then another for all the shenanigans that you're doing, like the Pokemon Let's Play and the vlogs and the acting and stuff.
So here's the thing,
because I think the podcast is just so different to everything else that you're doing, and it can draw in a whole different community of people. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing. From day one, my main channel has always been about, this is a variety channel, okay? Mm-hmm. And that will always be the case. However, the more and more that I do this podcast, and the more time I see that goes into it and everything, I'm like, the podcast will pretty much dominate this channel, right? That I can see. It's already become the case.
And I think it should, because you're great at it.
Well, thank you. I don't know about that. That's up for debate.
No. Don't say something like that. Just take my compliments at once, dude.
It is up for debate. It is up because, you know, it's still early days and it's still very much shaping or being shaped. But, you know, I thought about what you've said. I've sat there and thought, should I make a second channel? Should I do this? Because I have a second channel.
Yes.
And my second channel, I don't talk about it much because it's just, you know, I don't plug myself. I plug myself in the sense that I post on social media and stuff like that, but I never say like, subscribe to this, do that. Like, people make up their own minds, and that's how I always want it to be.
I did that the last few days. Everyone that I know, I went to and said, subscribe to my channel. Let's go watch my videos. Come on. Because I don't know. It's obviously it's shameless self-advertisement and everything, but why not do it? If you are, it's the thing that shaped my perception on these things. When someone said, if you think you're making good content, that you can bring something to the life of other people, then self-advertising is the good content that you're doing.
I already self-advertise. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if you follow me on social media, I advertise everywhere. Like if people, and the thing is about subscribing, just because someone's telling you to subscribe doesn't mean you're going to want to subscribe. I mean, there's people that I listen to sometimes. No. Whenever they do their, you know, their episodes and they say, please subscribe. It's like, dude, you have like fucking 2 million subscribers. You don't need to be asking people.
You can never have enough.
Whatever. I disagree on this. I'll never be like that. You'll never catch me doing that.
Same, but
I get it.
Yeah. 3 years ago, I was the same, but in the end, you just need to, I don't know, if you want to make it somewhere, Obviously, you could also say that advertising is so bad and it's so boring and it's shit. But obviously, you need to do it because you need to get the word out, right? You need to get the word out because people don't find you like that. You need to advertise because, and even Adidas and Coca-Cola, where you think that those companies are known by everyone. As far as I know, Coca-Cola had like a year where they tried out to do no advertising, and the same. It's just you got to get yourself out in the world because people won't find you like that, you know.
I am, and I do it to the nth degree. I just can't bring myself to like utter those words, to just turn around and be like, hey guys, please do this, please.
Okay,
please.
Okay, let me do it. Okay, guys, you need to subscribe to Christian Reeve's podcast and his channel, okay, and follow him on social media as well, guys. And go to his social medias and follow those. Okay, great. Since we got that out of the way, we can just discuss something else now.
You know what's great? It started cutting out when you said that.
Wow.
Okay, and I'm gonna have to go through this about 1 million times and edit this. This is going to be such a headache. Fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Anyway,
dude.
It's fine.
I don't enjoy making content, so I mean, editing is just another thing that you need.
Yeah, but
to
this
do.
this isn't editing. This is like every 5 seconds it cuts out, and it's just me staring, and nothing's happening. So I'm literally gonna have to go back through this, and every time it does that, edit it out as
Yeah.
Because like editing, like, there's a difference to me between actual editing, right, where it's clever and interesting, and then filtering out mistakes. Let's call it that. Filtering out shit, basically. And there's no reason for the internet to not be working.
Shit happens.
There's like basically no one in my house, no one using the internet, no issues. What's the problem? Why are you not working, internet?
But
fuck's sake.
But again, like I already told you, I feel you on that one 100%. I get so frustrated when something doesn't work the way it should, but not only with internet, but if some, I don't know, if some knife wouldn't cut through the thing that I want to cut through, I would love to break the knife because it's not working like it's supposed to be.
Just going back to the thing about the clips and what your suggestions about what I should do with the channel. Here's my kind of reasoning. Like I did that Let's Play series, like I recorded it 4 or 5 months ago, a long time ago. And I planned it ahead just to kind of give myself like a breathing space. Like, okay, I have content coming out. So if there's time when I don't upload, then whatever. And then it just kind of happened that I started the podcast. I ended up uploading all the time. It just happened like this. And I genuinely thought about like deleting the Let's Play series and not having it at all. And then I was like, no, I'll see how it does. But the reality is, moving forward with the channel, I don't think you're going to see like reactions because A, it takes a long time, and B, it's just, I don't enjoy it that much. I would do it if I was with someone and we're reacting together, because I think that's fun, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But if it's just me, I mean, the only time it was ever interesting to me was when I was reacting to my old music. That was kind of fun for me. But otherwise, yeah. And with gaming, I probably still will do it in the future, but probably not often. Like, I think I'm going to always save that for streaming. And again, with streaming, I have to have an audience first. So that has to be built for YouTube, and then that'll give me a reason to actually go on Twitch, because there's just no point me streaming to no one. But we've spoken.
Okay. Yeah, dude. In my opinion, it shouldn't make a difference if you're streaming to 0 or 1 million people. It shouldn't, dude. You should always just have your entertaining grandeur.
I can't be entertaining when there's no one there.
Dude, you're talking to a wall no matter what. I mean, you're talking to a camera no matter what. If you talk to 0 people or 1 million people, it makes no difference in the end. It makes no difference.
The thing is, I've done so many streams. So many streams. if you go on my second
Mhm.
channel, I think I have like 60, 70, something crazy like that. I mean,
Mhm.
if people genuinely miss, I said this to someone in my Discord today, someone new joined, and they were like, yeah, I haven't seen you stream in a while. And I was like, yeah, uh, like until there's a demand for it, I don't see the point. I mean, if people started saying like, hey, we want to see you stream, I'll be like, okay, I'll like come in and we'll do it. Right. But there just isn't a demand for it. And I'm just looking at like the things that there is a demand for, what people enjoy. So moving forward, like I'll always do the acting, I'll always do the music, but it won't be like, it won't be loads. And I think as time goes
Mhm.
on, like particularly when I manage to get a full-time job, it's going to be trickier. I'm gonna have to be I'm probably gonna have to just work my ass off then. But like you'll notice that there'll be less uploads, less frequently.
Yeah.
But it's fine because there'll still be a lot on the channel, but it'll probably just be like the podcast and then the occasional vlog or acting or music, something like that.
Yes.
But but I'll always keep it going, and obviously the goal is always to be
I hope so.
right, to be full-time
Don't
content
make
creator.
my donation be given you.
No, it won't be like that.
Right.
Because to me it's a dream. I don't want to obviously do 9 to 5 the rest of my life, so that's the main kind
Same.
of driving force.
Same. I couldn't. I actually couldn't. I hate working. I absolutely hate working. You could say that streaming is working as well, and it certainly is, but it's a work that I would definitely do.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I think it is different because you're doing what you enjoy. I mean, that's the thing. I work my ass off when it comes to YouTube, and then sometimes I sit back and I
Yep.
realize like, damn, I've been editing for like longer than I would work in a job, but I'm willing to do this because of the fact that I love what I do and I love putting it out and seeing people's reactions to it and stuff. Whereas when I work like 8 to 10 hours or more in some job where I've got like
No
a
way.
little bit of interest, it's like very like, okay, like if you take marketing, I'll go in first 2 or 3 hours, I'll get probably most of my work done anyway because of just how I work. Um, and then I'll just be bored for the rest of the day because it's a case of like, okay, I've got my work done. Now I'm just trying to find work. And that's the worst thing about
Yeah.
having a job is when you're trying to find yourself work. Because you're basically saying to yourself, okay, we want to create work for ourselves. And unless you love what you do,
Yeah.
you're never going to have that kind of attitude. A lot of the time you're going to be like, I want to get my work done so I can just chill. That's the reality.
Yeah, of course. And in the end, most people only work efficiently 20% of the time that they're at work.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, we definitely need a rehaul of the whole working system, right? Google does a super job. You can, when you come to Google in the morning as an engineer, you can do whatever the fuck you want as long as you are done with your tasks in the evening. You can just or
Okay.
like swim in their dedicated swimming pool or I don't know.
Here's the issue with Google. Yeah. Google is not a career. Google is a cult. Google
Dude,
is
I don't know anything about that.
it's a problem.
Sounds weird.
Yeah, it is weird. I've read stories from people who've worked there, and it's like it's that sort of fucked thing where it's like that there's no split between work life and personal life. It's like they basically put all of this stuff there to kind of encourage you to stay there and like never leave. And it's like, no, work should be work. Work can be a big part of your life and be like, but I think you need to have time where you're not working. You're doing stuff that isn't like, for instance, I'll just go play
Mm.
basketball, or I'll go for walks, or I'll go out and play some pool, or I don't know, just do something fun that's like not related to content and doesn't involve me having a phone pointed at myself or a camera pointed at myself or whatever. Like, because I think it's not just about getting away from all of that. It's about giving your mind some space to breathe. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's a proper sentence, but
Yes.
because I often find this as well. If I if I just don't feel very inspired or I need to just get out, usually when I've done that, I'll come up with ideas just randomly, and then I'll feel like inspired and fresh. But you can never feel that way if you never take a break, if you never just relax.
Yes.
So yeah,
exactly. Your brain, you need free time to come up with new ideas. That's just what it is. Otherwise, you're never gonna get anywhere if you don't give yourself it's the same with hustle culture, right? People are hustling, but then at the end you're working 16-hour days, but you're getting as much done as if you would work 10 hours.
Right.
Or 11, because at some point your body is just shutting down, your mind is shutting down, and then you're like, oh yeah, I worked 16 hours today. What have you got? Yeah, like this and this and that. Oh, I could have done that in 8 hours. And they're like, shit. It's yeah, you can't work too much, because at that point you're just not going to be as good anymore.
Oh yeah, plus your body just shuts down. I find it frustrating because sometimes I'll be on a roll and I'll be getting loads of work done for like YouTube, for instance, but my body's just like, no, you need to rest. And I'm like, oh, come on, I don't want to get sick. I don't want to do this. And it's like, no, you need to rest. I don't want to rest. Yeah. It's like, you need to rest. You need to just do something else. And I'm like, fine, we'll do that. And then it's good. It is always good in the end. But,
yeah, of course it is. I mean, you always gotta listen to your body and your mind. That's like the most important thing that people need to learn, to listen to themselves and not just torture themselves with too much, right? Otherwise you're facing burnout or whatever the fuck.
That's true. But burnout is very dangerous as well, just in general.
Yes. 100%.
No, I think
I would love to work 6 hours a day.
Yeah, I mean, I think if anything, I mean, it really depends on the type of positions you have. But I think that, like, in a lot of jobs, this whole 9 to 5 thing is kind of immature.
Yes,
like
it is.
I can think of so many times when I've worked, for certain companies in marketing, and I'm just like, I got my work done at like midday. So I'm just here for another 5 hours doing what?
Why can I not just go home?
Yeah.
It's that easy. I did better work than all the others. Just let me go home.
Which is pointless.
And companies should reward that, obviously, but they're not. They're doing the total opposite. If you're done with your work earlier, you just get more work. Why would you be done with your work earlier at that point? Then, I'll just take the same amount of work and stretch it out to 8 hours. I don't have a problem with that.
That's the reality as well. It's like, I suppose it does depend on your managers as well. But when I got disillusioned and I realized that like managers are just like that and the company doesn't care about you, I never got lazy. I always did my work. I always did it hard, and I never let that change, because it's a reflection of who I am. It's, but at the same time, I wouldn't put in the same amount of effort into like building projects by myself anymore, because it's like, who am I doing this for? No one cares. Like I remember one of the jobs I left, it was on bad terms, unfortunately. Like we left. I left it professionally, and but like, like I left. I worked really hard even towards the very end, and I made sure that I left a good handover and stuff. But I'm pretty sure that like the work that I left over, like no one bothered to like check that out. And I wondered a lot during the final days if I was just wasting my time, if I should just sit around and do nothing. But I just couldn't bring myself to do that. I just felt like it was like wrong somehow to do that. I don't know. Kind of just goes against what I believe
in. Yeah, I don't know. For me, on the field that I'm working at, like the coworkers and the managers and everything, if I'm very industrious or not, because oftentimes if someone just the atmosphere is really good, then yeah, I'll put in a lot of time, no problem, with a good feeling as well. Because yeah, if you treat me well, I'm gonna treat you well as well.
Mm.
It's very important. It's just respect, I guess.
Yeah. There does seem to be a lack of that in many workplaces, unfortunately. It's this kind of thing of, I think that they treat the job as though it's like, you should be grateful for having this job. Like, you should be grateful that you get a wage. You should be grateful that we're bestowing this upon you. And it's like, well,
yeah,
there are many jobs out there. And the more experienced you get, the better you are with like marketing yourself, the more it's available to you. I mean, certainly since I've become unemployed and I've started branching out and trying all these different things, I've realized that there's a lot of different ways that I could potentially make money. And unfortunately, I'm not able to like immediately get money right now, but they often say that like, if you put the hard work in, the money will come. And I'm looking at everything that I'm doing right now, and it is kind of building this like unofficial portfolio in terms of being able to, okay, like if you take what I'm doing, it's like, okay, podcasting is number one, right? And then you've got things like acting, there's music. I've done some voice acting for some projects, which will be coming out.
That's cool.
I can't really say much on that, but it'll be a future thing. But the reason I say that is it like demonstrates that there's different things that you can do, and it's about like thinking outside the box and really looking at like all the different things that you could potentially do to find employment. Because I think a lot of people, when they become unemployed, they're just like, oh well, I'll just look for jobs then, right? And for me, it's like I just see a problem with that. Like, I am applying for jobs right now, like I have to. But I'm not putting all of my eggs in one basket and relying on that. Because another thing as well is that like jobs, you can just get like you said, like with that job earlier, you can just get fired at any point. And it's the same in corporate. Marketing unfortunately is so tied to sales that a lot of your targets are based on that. And I've seen like major managers in certain companies like come in, they're getting paid a ton of money, but they get fired within like 6 months because they didn't meet a certain target. And I've seen people at my level, like pretty much entry or mid-level marketing, just get fired after less than a year. Like, it's brutal. So I treat it as a very short-termist type of job. And I do my best, but it's like, I don't really have high hopes with it, to be honest. So I'm just kind of looking at everything I can do in my life. And even with YouTube, I don't put all my eggs in one basket. I mean, that's one of the reasons why the YouTube, I did a lot of work to try and get it on different platforms. And, I'm trying to build up some.
Yes.
Right. I'm trying to kind of like build something with it that maybe it will become, I don't know how to put it, but like, maybe that I'll be able to get sponsors in the future for it if I can, show that there's numbers and stuff. And I'm thinking ahead, but I'm trying a lot of different things, and I think that that's kind of the point of what I'm trying to say. I'm just taking ages to get to the point, but if you try a lot of different things and you try on different lots of platforms and you just keep thinking like, what can I do? What's available to me, like what kind of different things can I do? That's kind of like a healthy mentality to have, I think, and that's a good way of being able to approach it.
Yes. I mean, you always need to find what people want from you as well, or what you're good at as well. So I'm a big proponent of just going out in the world and trying lots of different shit. I told that to my sister. My sister was just doing her degree and wants to go to university now. And I was like, why don't you just go to New Zealand or to like, you can what you can do? Because she was like, oh, I don't really know what I want to do. There's so many things I can study. I don't really know what I want to do. So I was like, yeah, then just go into a foreign country and look at what they're doing and take a look at the world and see what you want to do. Because I found what I want to do and I was in the same position, but obviously for me, it was pretty obvious what I want to do. which was, yeah, be an entertainer, be YouTube, Twitch, whatever you have on the internet. And then I came into a marketing job, and that was very good as well. And that's like another thing that I could think for myself, just being a marketeer.
Yeah,
You need to try out different stuff.
I have the exact same mentality, to be honest. I'm looking at everything, and I see it as a kind of like, what stuff can you always do, and what stuff has like a time limit? Because I feel like things like marketing, they're only as good as long as you're young. Whereas, you know, once you reach a certain age, it's like, realistically, there is a form of ageism. It doesn't matter that society is purporting, you know, oh, you know, we're against ageism, we're against this, we're against that. It's like you see the general age of the people around you, and like how long you kind of have. Like, I think for marketing, unless you're at the top of the company, I would say it's like up to about 40s, and then that's the kind of cutoff point. And that might be controversial to say, but I'm just saying, on average, what I've seen, you know, it's generally speaking, it's young people in their 20s. That's the average. You know, 30s and 40s is management. Past that, and if you haven't gotten to the top of the company, then that's it. And that's
why. Yeah, I can see that.
That's kind of why. Go on.
Yeah, but then again, in the companies you were there, that was probably a very young field, anyways. So I mean, I have seen people that do marketing that were like in their 60s.
Yeah,
but they did marketing very, very different.
Yeah, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, because I have seen that. I agree with you. Yeah. I'm just saying, on average, that's a rarity to see that. Like often when you see that, it'll be like some designer that's like particularly well known and very good at their craft, and they've you know managed to do it for that long. Or like I said, someone who's, you know, an owner in a company or something, or high up in the company that has that position. You know, it's rare that you see say people in their 50s or 60s that are just like, I don't know, working as a copywriter or your standard sales position. You know, it's not impossible, it's just unlikely. And that's why I always look at like everything that I do, and I'm like, what are the different ways I can make money? What can I learn? What can I, you know, what will be useful in the future? Exact same as your mentality. Try as many different things as possible, just so there's loads of different options, so that if shit does hit the fan, it's like, okay, well, I've got different things I can do. I mean, for instance, customer service, you can be any age to do that. That doesn't matter. So that's kind of it's not ideal, but it's a job for life, I guess. So, you know, it's something.
Again, I always thought that to be an entertainer or a Twitch streamer or something, you need to be 25, 21 and everything. And I was always beating myself up, and I was like, oh my God, you're already 23, you're already 24, you don't have a massive following yet, you're never gonna make it. And then I look at like, oh, but he's playing RuneScape and he has like 700 people watching him. It's great. I don't think age is necessarily the thing that sets you apart. It's always your capability, your right, how good you are. And I think in sales, old people just say, oh, fuck this job at some point, and just go into other fields, because it is a hard job, and it's a weird mix of things you have to do. And
just want to say a big thank you to Stealzy for being on the 25th episode of the Christian Reeve podcast. Thank you for all your support. I really appreciate it, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show. As always, you're always welcome. Hopefully we won't have the same internet problems that we had today, but I think even still we had some full-length conversation in there, and I'll just have to do some editing wizardry to make it listenable. Anyway, also I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's been listening to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. We're now on Apple Podcasts finally after all this time, so I'm really happy about that. That's fantastic. And yeah, I just want to say, you know, if you want to be on the Christian Reeve podcast, please get in touch. I would love to have you on the show. Always looking for new guests, always looking for people to be part of this. And also want to say a big thank you to just, again, yeah, everyone listening to the Christian Reeve podcast. Please keep listening. Please keep letting me know what you think. Let me know if there's any topics that you want to hear in the future. Just let me know. And yeah, we'll keep this going and onwards and upwards to number 50. Thank you. And until next time, peace out. One love. See you in the next one.